scrum half Max Barrow.
In 1971, the Welsh side won their first Grand Slam for 19 years, including this victory against France.
Barry John tackling once again. Williams on the interception. John Williams up the line. He's got 5 people inside him. Inside him is Denzel Williams. Gareth Edwards on the outside. He must score. The sun disappeared now. A bit colder. So going to win against the head. There's Barry John. He's got 1 yard. He's going to score.
Predictably, this Welsh side formed the backbone of the 1971 Lions. Before John Dawes took his team to New Zealand, the Lions had only won 4 series in their history. But it is from adversity that legends are born. Gareth Edwards, JPR Williams, Barry John and Willie John McBride, in fact the whole squad, took their place in rugby history along with coach Carwyn James.
There's no question about it that Carwyn James got a lot out of us. No question of that. What I liked about him, and probably his knowledge of forward play wasn't as good as his back play, but what he did was he used the resources around him and made us think. And I think that we all responded well to that. You know, I can think particularly, you know, there was Ray McLaughlin, for instance, and myself and 1 or 2 others that were around, and he would make us talk, make us think, and he had that knack at the end of it, getting what he wanted. And I think that we went out for the first time believing in our hearts that we could win.
Given little or no chance of victory, those 1971 Lions won 3 out of 4 tests and lost only 2 out of 26 games on tour, scoring 580 points. The Lions won their first 10 games in New Zealand before the first test at Dunedin. Barry John was probably man of the match for his defensive kicking. Before Ian McLaughlin stole the first try against the run of play. Barry John sealed the game with 2 kicks.
The first test is the important one to win, because if we win and lose the second and the third, we're still in business and we could still draw the series.
The Lions didn't seem up for the second test, going down 12-22. But the game featured 2 of the greatest tries of any Lions tour. One for Gerald Davis and one for Kirkpatrick. All square. On to Wellington, and the John Taylor tackle sets up Barry John's drop kick. (3-0). Then a Gerald Davis try in the corner. Man of the match Gareth Edwards sets up Barry John for the second try. All of this in the first 20 minutes. 13-0 at the break. Laurie Mains, recently the All Black coach, gets the All Blacks back into the game. But the Lions hold out. Now on to Auckland, the final challenge. In some ways this game was a disappointment. In the first half, the Lions faced into the wind and went down badly. Cottrell scored for the All Blacks and Mains converted, and then added a penalty for 8-0. Barry John, having missed 2, finally kicked a penalty. Then the indefatigable Peter Dixon latched onto a ball at the ruck. In the second half, the Lions kicked another penalty, but Lister levelled the scores with an identical try to the Lions. JPR Williams kicked an improbable drop goal. Mains equalised, 14-14, a draw. The 1971 Lions became the first side of the century to win a major series abroad, just as their manager Doug Smith predicted.
Doug, of course, has been lauded, applauded, congratulated on making that wonderful prediction that we would win the series by two wins, 1 loss and a draw. Doug, that was the biggest bloody burden you ever put on the team. Can you imagine having to draw the last match?
The 1971 Lions became the first side of the century to win a major series abroad, just as their manager, Doug Smith, predicted. In 1972, the Five Nations weren't completed because of political problems, and England courted controversy by going to South Africa, winning a one-off test 18-9. 1972 also saw tries upgraded from 3 points to 4, encouraging a more attacking style of rugby. It was surely no coincidence that the following seasons saw some scintillating rugby. In 1973, there was a remarkable 5-way tie in the Five Nations.
It's John Lloyd to Quinnell. Quinnell almost there. Again back to Edwards. Bergier to John Bevan. Can Bevan score his 4th international try? Yes, he can. Morgan to Telfer. The dummy run by Forsyth. Telfer's clean through. What a try!
Maloney. Gibson's with him. There's a gap there. Beautiful ball. Tom Grace. On the halfway line. Maloney. He's got Tom Grace with him. Grace on the right. Duckham has to cover. The pick up there by Maloney once again. This is a score. This must be a score. Gibson, brilliant. Millican, his 2nd try. But England trying to move this ball now and stretch the French, which they do. Cooper. Well, that's Priest. Priest has got Duckham with him. Beautiful dummy. What a lovely break. This could be a try. Duckham will be in. Here it is, Smith to Cooper. Cooper's got Evans with him. That's Evans with a sidestep. Up the middle, he's got support on all sides. 4 men. Can he go it alone? Stack Stevens to David Duckham, his 2nd try of the game.
Bill Bennett, as he did for the Barbarians against New Zealand. Glyn Shaw, the prop forward. Now Shaw really can run. John Taylor, the flanker, tackled by Mike Gibson, 10 yards out from the Irish 25. Dave Morris feeds Gareth Edwards, playing at standoff there. Edwards over the 25, and it could be a try for Shanklin. That's McGeechan. Forsyth, Peter Brown again. Brown to Billy Steele. Can Steele make the line? He's going to make it. Ripley has him. He scored.
But 1973 is probably more famous in rugby history for one game. Perhaps one of the greatest games of all time. And of course this try.
To Williams. This is great stuff. Phil Bennett covering. Chased by Alistair Scone. Brilliant. Oh, that's brilliant. John Williams, Brian Williams, pulling. John Dawes. Great dummy. David, Tom David, the halfway line. Brilliant by Quinnell. This is Gareth Edwards. A dramatic start. What a score. Edwards, the director.
The game, especially in the first half, tried hard to live up to the promise of that early try and almost succeeded. The match continued both fast and furious, played with noticeably more bite than the usual Barbars game, arguably as a result of the Lions' victory in New Zealand in 1971.
Back, Williams reading it brilliantly. To Duckham. Burgess is beaten. Duckham with the whole line. What a side! What a dummy! Fabulous tackle. Wilkinson. Covering by Karam. Quinnell. Edwards. Edwards again, into Quinn, into Slattery, over the top, Dawes, brilliant! But it was forward. Oh, interception by Quinnell. Here's Dawes. This is John Bevan. Williams can't get him. So strong, this fellow. What a throw! Going Burgess brilliantly. Hurst, this is Karam in the line, Williams in the line. Can he get there? He's got great speed. Grant Batty is in. Calling Burgess into the line comes Brian Williams. Over the top, it should have gone to Williams though. Duckham was in. Ahead for Batty. He picks it up. He scores for speed. Over the top. This is a brilliant try by Grant Batty. He picks it up. Edwards, Bennett, Dawes is with him, so too Duckham. Now Gibson's outside Duckham. These two between them have got pace. Kilpatrick's tackle on Duckham. Batty as well. Carmichael of Scotland. David of Wales. Pullen of England. Slattery of Ireland. Gibson of Ireland. That's his genius. That's now Willie John. Tom David of Wales. Joe Curran's tackle, and it went forward. And that by Lindsay Colling, a great piece of play, but Duckham can keep it in. David Duckham. Lambert misses him. Kilpatrick as well. Colling was in that again. Derek Quinnell, Dawes, Williams, Gibson. Slattery to John Williams.
(1974) and the most famous rugby team of all time, the 74 Lions. The 1974 Lions tour of South Africa was probably the most controversial in its history.
And again, these unpleasant scenes breaking out, both sides piling in, and some of the most appalling scenes one can ever have witnessed in a rugby test match.
Ever since it was played in this country for the first time, the coloureds played their sport separately, the blacks played their sport separately, the Indians played their sport separately, and the whites played their sport separately. I don't visualize any change as far as that is concerned.
For their own individual reasons, the Lions decided to ignore the tightening of the pressure on apartheid, with one exception, John Taylor.
By that time, I was very disappointed, and I was trying to change a few people's minds. But as you well know, rugby is incredibly establishment and incredibly insular, so that almost the brotherhood of rugby was considered as being of far greater importance than the brotherhood of man.
The Lions captain, Willie John McBride, took a firm stance.
I don't associate the political and the sport. I never have done. And let's be honest, my own beloved province of Ulster in 1974, when I left, was in turmoil with the Ulster Workers' strike. So, you know, I wasn't going to have any influence on the political scene at home. I don't think I was going to have much political influence on what was happening in South Africa.
At Jan Smuts, the long-awaited Lions arrive.
Darnie Craven welcomed the Lions with open arms.
En daar kom hulle, bestuurder Alan Thomas, kaptein Willie John McBride en die vernaamste rugbyspelers uit Engeland, Scotland, Ierland en Wallis.
It's going to be the greatest rugby tour that South Africa's ever had, if I can think of the interest that has been shown in our country at the moment.
Trainer Johan Klaassen puts the players through their paces in preparation for the Lions tour.
South Africa had the best record in the world. It made them believe that they were a great society because they could always beat the British at rugby football and they could beat the New Zealanders. Who else could do it? Nobody. That's why it was so important. It was part of their lifeblood.
But history shows us that this was arguably the most talented side ever to leave the British Isles. But to go alongside this talent, Willie John McBride ensured there was some steel.
There were various players we didn't want to be messed around, like Phil Bennett, And sometimes we're going to have to work against maybe difficult players. And I remember one or two of them, and I said to Bobby, you know, Bobby Windsor, for instance, he loved that. He came from Pontypool, and I said, you know, there's maybe going to be a bit of this. And I remember Bobby saying, oh, this is for me.
The Lions demonstrated their intent in one of the early games against Eastern Province.
Slattery tries to palm it back at the back of the line out. Edwards, Bennett, Irvine racing up, but that's Billy Steele back inside to Irvine.
On the call of 99, the Lions waded into action.
The game erupts in an unpleasant manner in the centre of the field. It's the sort of thing that's been boiling up for most of this game. Mervyn Davies and Slattery try to separate the two factions.
In South Africa, intimidation has always been part of the game. It's not part of the British Isles game, but we've always had a number of thugs among our own players.
So, on to the first test at Cape Town.
15 minutes to go. The Lions, at this moment, leading 6 points to 3. Phil Bennett with the chance to put them 6 points clear. He struck it perfectly. That was over from the moment he touched it with his boot. The Newlands crowd really tense. Are they going to witness a Lions victory for the first time here since 1938? Edwards looks for the long drop at goal. He struck it beautifully and it sails through. J.P.R. Williams raises his arms in triumph. Gareth Edwards sports a smile, and that's an all-important score because it means South Africa now must score at least twice. 1 minute of injury time now gone, and the whistle goes. The Lions leap in the air, their joy unbounded, and rightly so. Their first win over South Africa in a test match here since 1938.
In Britain, the press were crowing. In South Africa, it was a national disaster.
The general attitude of people at the time, they just couldn't believe it, and it must be the captain, it must be the selectors, it must be the coach. Everybody was being blamed. Because people in this country at the time just didn't accept that we could lose against this wrong side.
It was a tremendous shock, and it's a first test as well. And that shocked us immensely. I don't know if we'd lost a first test in this country before.
More triumphs followed. A great victory against the perennially strong Transvaal just before the second test.
Bennett, Milliken is a man over here. Milliken on the bench. Milliken a 5-yard short. He's going over and he scores. But the Lions having the edge once again. Maloney breaks. Ripley up in support. That's Roger Utley. Utley to Ripley. Ripley busting as he did for London Counties. Tony Neary going for the corner. A dramatic last-second try for Tony Neary.
The Lions were at their best in the second test at Pretoria. They literally swept the Springboks aside.
Edwards rolling for J.J. Williams into the 25. Williams kicks it on. This could be a try. Williams has scored. Ian McCallum chasing his own kick. Chipping through again, the crowd roar. Phil Bennett in his own 25. Running out of defence. Great turn of speed in the jink inside. Bennett to McBride, to Mervyn Davies. To McBride again. To Gordon Brown. Gareth Edwards. To Roger Utley, but Utley just knocking the ball forward, but the referee says play on. J.J. Williams, where's he come from? Williams, a yard to go, and he scored. What an incredible try for the Lions. Comes back on the Lions side to Slattery. Slattery with men outside him. Inside beautifully to Phil Bennett. Look at that acceleration. Bennett with Billy Steele. Bennett on his own. Bennett 5 yards short. He's going to score. Phil Bennett. What a solo effort.
The Lions romped home, 28 points to 0. Against the Orange Free State, the Lions just managed to hold on to their unbeaten record, eventually winning 11-9.
With a heel against the head, Mervyn Davies to Edwards. Slips it inside, it must be the try. The try is given to J.J. Williams. Is there ever a more dramatic finish to a game than that?
On to the third test at Port Elizabeth.
So down the tunnel they came running at 150 miles an hour, eyeballs bulging out their sockets, and we stood there going, for goodness sake, we'd never seen a team psyched up like it in our lives before.
The 13th of July 1974, will this be a red letter day in British rugby history?
I think somebody cracked me on the back of the head.
Because that was when the 99 call had gone up.
Somebody hit somebody else, and whilst people were standing around, people were just hitting one another.
I was at the outside of it, you know, and I was looking at this going on, and I thought, this is madness.
The thing just erupted, and all I can remember is JPR Williams running in from fullback from about 20 yards and hitting Mona Van Heerden, who was the main Springbok enemy guy involved.
Luckily, the referee either didn't see me or ignored it.
That's Kritzinger going hell for leather for the line. Only 3 yards short, the ball buried, the fists break out. And really, this is a giant free-for-all, fitting more for the boxing ring.
Well, I think there'd always been an attitude from the Springboks that the British Lions had had talented sides previously, but that perhaps when the going got tough, a few of them would, inverted commas, bottle out. And I think that message came over fairly strongly to them that this Lions side was a bit different and they weren't going to be intimidated.
Palm by Brown, Edwards just eluding Ellis. McGeechan to Milliken, out to JJ Williams. Williams showing a good turn of speed, flicks it back inside to JPR, 5 yards short to JJ Williams again. He's going to score under the post. JJ Williams, the Lions leap in the air, a magnificent try. Less than 4 minutes to go in this third test match. The Lions almost home in this historic victory. JPR Williams running out of defence, feeds Dick Milliken. He's got JJ Williams. JJ Williams chipping through, runs past Chris Pope. It's a race for the line. Will he get the bounce and the pick-up? He's got it! JJ Williams has done it again. And that's it. The Lions leap in the air. They've done it. And there, the man that's led them, the Lions, to this first series win in South Africa since 1896.
In the fourth and final test at Ellis Park, controversy reigned yet again.
Palm by Grobler, fed on by Ellis. That's Schlebusch to Pope. Pope handing off and going for the corner, but he's got to get through John Williams. The feed inside, picked up by Cronje. And the try is awarded. The first try South Africa have scored in this test series. The crowd go wild. The Springboks draw level. 13 points all the score. Edwards to Bennett, to McGeechan, to Milliken, JPR Williams in the line. Williams still going. Williams cutting his way through. 5 yards short to Slattery. Slattery could score. Slattery must be there. They wait the decision of the referee. Slattery surely was over. They can't believe it. I can't believe it.
I think the referee had done a couple of test matches and had been very, very good. I think he thought, well, I'm going to live in South Africa when these buggers have gone home, you know. So he thought, I'll call this a draw and everybody will be happy. And he sort of blew the whistle immediately after, you know, seconds later. But I was convinced it was a try.
The referee grabbed the headlines, but the Lions kept the glory, returning home as heroes. Many of the stars of the 74 Lions featured in the Welsh team, which won the Grand Slam again in 1976.
Bennett to Fenwick. They've missed out John Williams, the fullback. JJ, this is John Williams now. Can John Williams score his third try against England? Yes, he can. Fenwick, got by McGeechan, but manages to turn. That's John Williams in there, working as a mauling forward. Fed out again from Windsor. This is Edwards. Edwards now. Edwards all the way. He's done it again.
If they can win it, which they have, they're in a fine attacking position. Bennett, the overlap, JPR Williams, out to Gerald Davies. He must score in the corner.
Another tremendous tackle by Reeve. Fed out from Alan Martin. Edwards, Gravel once again. This is out to Phil Bennett. There's a chance here for Fenwick. J.J. Williams must score.
During the 70s and early 80s, rugby in France enjoyed a boom period. Only Wales could hold their own with the new French team.
Only about 12 metres out, Bastia.
In 1977, France took their revenge on the Welsh on their way to a Grand Slam. France was now one of the world greats.
Well, he was going to feed it out. That pass knocked by Aguirre. That's Avaruz. Avaruz again. It could be a try in the corner, and it is. A goal. And it's Zonga.
The loose ball picked up by Carmichael, but that's a dangerous pass back as Bastia comes in. Only about 8 metres out. And if France could win this loose ball, Scotland would be all manner of trouble. They drive it on, Papa on board, Reeve over the line, and it could be a try. The referee has given it. And look how quickly that pack is up in support of him. Farou to Romer. Juggling with it a bit and not keeping clean control. Averus did well to flip that up. From Sangali, it goes to Aguirre, and look at the fullback going. He's got support from Paco. The line is open. Bastia races up, and Bastia must get there. What a try by France. Bastia the scorer.
Due to the success of the Lions sides of the early 70s, expectation was high when the Lions toured to New Zealand in 1977. But Captain Phil Bennett and his team soon discovered that the All Blacks were not going to let history repeat itself.
Batty intercepts, and Batty's got a clear run in. Batty all the way, the crowd go wild, and Batty scores the All Blacks' third try. What a disaster, what a tragedy for the Lions. Not had a successful day so far with his boot, having missed 4 kicks at goal, including the conversion. Brian Williams. Will it carry? It's dropping underneath the post, and Bennett's there. But the follow-through gives the All Blacks the try.
The Lions lost the first test, but came back in the second due to this J.J. Williams try.
Bennett runs out of defence. There's plenty of space there. Clever little kick up to the halfway line, and Bennett follows it up with the fly hack. Farrell misses the pickup. Duggan through with the boot. And that was a lucky one straight to Gordon Brown. Up to the All Blacks 22. Quinnell again. McGeechan. J.J. Williams with Irvin outside. Go dummy from Williams, and that's a great try. A magnificent try by J.J. Williams.
The Lions were favourites to win the third test, but went down 19-7.
Down the line to Bruce Robertson, great running from the All Blacks. Bruce Robertson chipping through, Bennett is back there, Robertson is on the line, the All Blacks are over, and I think they've scored in the opening minute.
The fourth test was another occasion the Lions lost, when they had the game seemingly won. Their forwards dominated, they were 9-3 up at half-time.
Just a couple of metres out, the loose ball, Jack Morgan could get the try, he's got it! Jack Morgan, Stuart Melville and Scotland scores just the try that the British Isles needed. The luck of the bounce goes to Phil Bennett. Bennett taking no chances, aims for touch but doesn't find it. Now this is Osborne. We're into injury time now. Fenwick goes back, is caught, and so is Wheeler by Murray. And Laurie Knight's going to score. Laurie Knight gets the try. What a tragedy for the British Isles, because Laurie Knight has put New Zealand ahead in injury time in this fourth test. This was the move. The kick ahead was a beautiful one. Fenwick was in trouble. Wheeler was in support. Murray comes in with that crucial tackle and the ball to Laurie Knight, who ran in unopposed, and there was nothing Bennett could do to save it. The game snatched out of the fire.